Hi, I'm Brian. Kettle's on, make yourself a cup of tea. Space. The final frontier. These are the voyages of, well, no one. This is a look back at Deep Space Nine, and it's set on a space station which didn't move. I've been rewatching Deep Space Nine, and I've just finished watching Season 1. Now I have to say that DS9 is my favourite Star Trek show. I love the overarching story of the Dominion War. I enjoy Sisko's relationship between himself and the Prophets, and himself and the Bajorans. But this first season doesn't have much of that. The Dominion War, which the show revolved around a lot of the time, wasn't thought about back then, and there's not much of Sisko being the emissary either. In fact, he's not even called the emissary until the final episode of the season. Season 1 is pretty much the same as any other Star Trek show. It's a very by the numbers episodic season. It has a fantastic cast. Avery Brooks is fantastic in the role of Commander Sisko, but at this early stage he still has hair and no goatee. The rest of the cast are all brilliant in their roles as well. In fact, I don't think there's a weak link in the cast at all. In Season 1, the premise is that the Cardassians, no, not those ones, these ones, have left Bajor after a 50-year occupation, and Starfleet have taken over the Cardassian space station, Terok Nor, now renamed Deep Space Nine, in hopes to help Bajor rebuild and bring them into the Federation. When the discovery of a stable wormhole leads to DS9 being moved to the mouth of the wormhole, and Sisko discovers there are aliens living inside, these are what the Bajorans call their prophets, and it makes Sisko their emissary, and that's the basic plot of the show. Now, despite this being my favourite Star Trek show, I have to be honest, there are some bad episodes in Season 1. I remember that it started off slow, but I forget how bad some of the episodes were. I remember the worst episode, Move Along Home, in which some of the crew are being used in a board game. That's pretty much it. The episode truly was a terrible one. But there's others I've completely forgot about, such as Babel, about an old sabotage device on the replicators making the crew ill, and If Wishes Were Horses, about aliens bringing the thought of some of the crew to life in order to observe them. These are just some of the bad episodes. There are some good episodes as well. The pilot episode, Emissary, is a decent season opener, setting up the show's premise nicely. There's Dax, which is a courtroom drama episode, in which the character Dax doesn't want to defend herself over something her symbiote's previous host did in his lifetime. But the standout episode of Season 1 is Duet, when a Cardassian who is ill with a disease that could only be contracted at a labour camp on Bajor when there was an explosion means he must have been there, and the station's first officer, Major Kira, who is a Bajoran, wants him tried for war crimes. And the drama of the episode and the chemistry between the two actors as she tries to find out who he is and what he did there is fantastic. And Nana Vaza really shines in this episode. It really is a high point of the first season. It's just a shame it comes so late towards the end of the season. Another thing about this first season is the use of Next Generation guest stars. Captain Picard is in the season opener, and later on both Q and Roxana Troy both turn up. There are a few other guest stars as well. This is done to appeal to fans of the Next Generation and try to get them on board and watching the show when it first started. Overall, Season 1 isn't the worst first season of a show I've seen, but it's a far cry from the high quality that Deep Space Nine becomes. It feels like they weren't quite sure what they were going to do with the show at the start. The only thing, other than Sisko being the emissary, that gets referenced again as far as I can remember, is Odo, the station's chief of security who is a shapeshifter, mentions that he was found in space years ago and is searching to find out about his people. After rewatching the first season after so many years, I can see why people say they couldn't get past it, or thought it was a bad show. Season 1 has more low points than high points, but the excellent cast put it together and make it enjoyable enough to watch. But even then, episodes like Move Along Home are a hard watch, but knowing what the show becomes makes the bad episodes easier to get through. If you've not seen Deep Space Nine, but enjoy Star Trek, I would recommend it. They tried something different with DS9 by having it on a space station. It's a darker show than the other classic Trek shows, but it works. Stick with it for the first season because it does get better. And once Season 3 gets here, the direction of the show is more stable and the quality of episodes really improves. The story arc starts to form as the Dominion War gets underway. If you have tried watching the show before but couldn't get past the first season, I would highly recommend going back to watch it again. Yes, the first season is hard to get through, but the payoff is worth it. That's all from me. I'm off to make a fresh cup of tea.